Beautiful, beautiful people, welcome back once more. These bills of rights on a state and federal level. If one was to summarize everything in here, it would just simply be due process. The due process is split into different forms, where it says the military shall be in strict subordination to civil power. This is simply due process is saying whatever is due to you must be given to you, but specific to the subject matter of what type of power. Due process is split all throughout the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights simply deal with due process, depending on the specificity of the circumstance. That's really the summary of all these Bills of Rights, where it says private property shall not be taken or damaged for public use without just compensation. The fact that there's a criteria or a triggering mechanism of just compensation in order for private property to be taken for public use, that's a due process. Something has to first occur, something that is due to you in stages and increment process. In this given instance, with the taking of private property for public use, it is compensation. And of course, that takes process of notifying parties, assessing the value, and most importantly, validity as to why that use of property can exist, let alone it will compensate someone. What we call this Bill of Rights is nothing more but just due process spoken of in specific circumstances. When it speaks about warrants, requirement, probable cause, which if it's not clear at this point, probable cause is a standard of evidence, which is quite low. It's a little bit lower than preponderance of evidence. How many people speaking about probable cause, rights, warrants, supporting affidavit know this? What you ought to be holding them against is not the probable cause standard. It ought to be something a little bit higher. But if you don't know the standard of evidence, if you don't know the stages of evidence, if you don't know the hierarchy of evidence, how can you put that to use beyond merely the what? Most people are masters of the what, but not the why and how. Most people typically feel something is owed to them. That's fine. A sense of entitlement is good, because when the time really comes, keep seeking after free templates. Keep seeking after someone to just give you time and accumulated wisdom and knowledge and experience. But do know when that crunch time comes, you will be the one to face the issue. You can have all the sense of entitlement you want, as much as you want. But once you get that free template, go ahead and try to put it to use and see as far as it can take you. If you don't comprehend the foundational principles of what you say your rights are, you are still lying to yourself. Bills of right in the state or federal level, in summary, speaks of one simple thing called due process, and that due process is implemented into specific subject matters, where it speaks about things like religious freedom, or a right to petition, a right to redress a grievance. That's a specific subject matter. Overall, Bill of Rights in summary speaks of due process. So let's really go into what due process is. All these people speaking about rights, they've never at once stopped for a moment and ask, what is due process? What does that mean, and what does that constitute? Like always, these constitutions on a state or federal level, in this given instance, the Illinois 1870 version, tells you, Article 2, Section 2, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property without due process of law. See this due process of law? This is what people call legal things. You would often hear people tell you legal things are separate from lawful because, well, something could be legal, but it cannot be lawful. These people fail also to look at all these law dictionaries that they always are quick to run to. They fail to look at the simple definition of the word legal. But when you look at the word legal in any law dictionary, whether it be the one in the 1800s, 1900s, or the one in the new millennia, according to Gregorian calendar, they will all lead you to the same thing that tells you legal is just things done in accordance to law. In other words, legal is the vehicle to which law is enforced. And if legal is not lawful, then it cannot be legal, because the essence of legality It's based and founded on law. So when people try to give you all that cute rhetoric of something can be legal but it cannot be lawful, there goes another mental masturbation that they're just feeding you. So when we speak of due process of law, this involves you knowing the elements of evidence. This involves you knowing the elements involved in your right. These constitutions speaks about the what, and they use terminologies like property, liberty, due process, law, different types of law. What is due process? What type of property? What does liberty constitute? In fact, the circumstances where it speaks about probable cause. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effect against those reasonable search and seizure shall not be violated, and no one shall issue without probable cause. What is probable cause? Probable cause is one of the standard of evidence. And what is the actual definition of the constituting factor of probable cause and its loopholes? In other words, the why and how, most do not know. They know the what. But nonetheless, let's go into the why and how of this thing called due process. What is due process? Due process. Introduction. The Constitution states only one command twice. The Fifth Amendment says to the federal government, meaning this Fifth Amendment, Bill of Rights, is a mandatory language commanding a body politic to perform a certain way relating to others. Hence, the Fifth Amendment says to the federal government, meaning it is a mandate, an instruction, an admonition, firm, stern words towards, quote, federal government, that no one shall be, quote, deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Then it gives you the incorporated aspect based on the incorporation doctrine, which we've run over here on Patreon. Incorporation. The Fifth Amendment reference to, quote, due process is only one of many prominent. The 36-minute video has been posted on the Patreon page. Take care. Best of luck.